Hey YouTube, here again and talk about things going on in the world around us, and I'm here to talk about, if you live in areas like New York or California, you might be seeing this, but the Bay Area, for example. I live in the Bay Area, and they are, well, maybe not necessarily locking down, but mask requirement is coming back. And it's very frustrating because the county I'm in, Santa Clara County, was the first county to lock down in the nation. We locked down like the second week of March of 2020. And we've been locked down, and we've been waiting and waiting and waiting for freedom to come back. And it's only been 48 days of freedom, like everything back to normal. And now, once again, 7 Bay Area counties mandate mask indoors for everyone because of, as they say, Delta variant. And let's just talk about mask requirement. Let's just look through a couple of these. Here's the kind of thing that happens with mask requirement.
All right, this happened in Philadelphia where the bus driver was saying everyone has to wear a mask or you can't be on this bus. Well, apparently one fellow ignored that. Take a look.
To rough this guy up because he didn't wear a mask. Carry him out and everything. Yeah, there's one. This one was in England, but this kind of stuff still happens here. He's very peaceful. Do it.
Underlying health conditions, you don't have to wear a mask. Underlying health conditions.
I do not have to wear a mask. End of. And you do not have to challenge me either. It's against the law to challenge me. Yeah, it's against the law to challenge me as well. I'm not getting off. Yo! Who the fuck do you think you're grabbing?
Grabs him.
Who the fuck?
He's done nothing wrong.
Get off me!
Medical conditions. Medical conditions. I need to speak to you. I'll speak. Get up.
Pull out pepper spray.
Mate, he's done nothing wrong.
I got him.
He's done nothing wrong. You're on a power trip here. By law, he doesn't have to. Underlying health conditions.
Get the
Yeah.
trying to get the question. Yeah. What the f*** doing? Let the old man fuck off me. No, I've been fucking told.
Yeah, at that point, punch him in the face. Like, he's the only cop there. What is he gonna do? Yeah, I'm not even gonna look at this one. Passengers forced off planes. Where the family gets kicked off plane for 2-year-old refusing to wear a mask. How many of you with 2-year-olds are making your kids wear masks? Let's talk about that for a second. The World Health Organization, which at one point was the international standard and the standard for the United States for all things how to handle this whole situation. The World Health Organization says no child under the age of 5 should be forced to wear a mask. But hey, look at this. Families getting kicked off a plane for forcing their 2-year-old to wear a mask. I have a 19-month-old. He's never worn a mask, and I don't intend to put him in a mask until as long as I have to be. Okay, another London incident. Another flight kickoff. Oh, this one's my favorite. Okay. Officer tases and arrests woman for not
the Ohio
wearing a
woman
mask
who was tased
at football game. At a high school football game.
stands where masks were required. TJ Holmes is here with more on this.
Ahead
Good morning, TJ.
This is enforcement's ability to enforce. This confrontation between a woman and a police officer all started over a mask.
Stop it! Let go of my wrist!
At a middle school football game in Ohio Wednesday, a woman in the stands refused to put on a face covering, violating the school district policy requiring spectators to wear masks at games. When confronted by a school resource police officer, police say she refused to put on a mask, and when asked to leave, she wouldn't comply. Watch what happens next.
Get off of me! Get off of me! Put your hand behind your back. I will not put my hand behind my back. I'm not friendly doing nothing wrong.
The officer explains that she's being arrested. When she continues to resist, he uses his taser. You can hear...
She was rightfully resisting. This is the thing. Here's. I'll come back to that in a second. But here, I just want to say this. These aren't laws. These are just guidance ordinances. You can't tase someone for just disobeying a random ordinance. They're not hurting anybody. You're the one hurting her. I mean, if you want to say not wearing a mask is hurting somebody outside when she's far from other people, ridiculous. So here's what I'm talking about. Is these things are all implemented by politicians. Politicians who don't even follow their own guidances. By example, in recent memory, Gavin Newsom had a party at a fancy restaurant, not wearing a mask, with a table with like a dozen people at it. Ironically, all these people were like medical experts, and they weren't wearing masks either. The trend continues. Right now in Washington, D.C., per Nancy Pelosi's influence with her, what she's implementing in the Capitol, as to where no matter if you're a representative, senator, or whatever, you're not wearing a mask, you get arrested in the Capitol building for not wearing a mask. Yet that same day, she takes off her mask for a photo op. The trend continues. D.C. mayor implements the same rule in Washington, D.C. In Washington, D.C. now, if you don't wear a mask, you can be arrested. Yet here she is in Washington, D.C. at a wedding, taken a couple days after she implements this mask mandate, which as to where you can be arrested for not wearing a mask in Washington, D.C. Here she is, not wearing a mask in D.C. No one's going to arrest the mayor. I'm talking about Mayor of Chicago. Chicago has a funny trend going. In the past, let's say the last week of July, 4 people died in Chicago of COVID. Yes, that's terrible. It's a terrible thing that happened in the city of Chicago. 4 people died in a week of COVID. But worse yet, 11 people died in the same amount of time. Last week of July, 11 people died from shootings in Chicago. And guess who doesn't give a crap about that? Mayor of Chicago, Lori Lightfoot. Here she is at the concert she let happen, Lollapalooza. I don't care about them not wearing masks. That's their choice. It's an outdoor concert. I don't think anyone's going to hurt. But here, Lori Lightfoot is not wearing a mask in this concert, which potentially, yeah, if you want to talk about super spreader events by people like Lori Lightfoot's definition, that could be that. And here she is, not wearing a mask, yet she's telling all these Chicagoans you gotta wear masks again. Here's my favorite new example of hypocrisy. I know Obama's been quiet on this, but Joe Biden is basically an extension of Obama. Joe Biden's presidency is Obama 2.0. Psaki defends Obama's birthday party, or is feared as a COVID risk. Obama is throwing a 60th birthday party with 475 confirmed guests, plus 200 plus staff to manage the party. Fuck you, by the way, for throwing a party with 200 people to just staff it. What kind of big ass flex is that? But 475 people invited. It's a total in one building. There's going to be 675 people. Yeah, we get to have our nice lavish parties with 200 staff there to cater our every need. But you have to keep wearing a mask. Your 2-year-olds keep having to wear masks on flights. And it keeps going. It keeps going. What's happening now, it's the bait and switch. It's going to go from the thing on your face, the face diaper, that everyone and their 2-year-old child and their grandmother and their dogs will have to keep wearing. But here's what's next. This is what's coming next. It's starting now with states like California requiring all state employees to get vaccinated. And cities like San Francisco requiring all city employees to get vaccinated. But now private companies are following suit because Joe Biden says, I hope private companies follow suit. Here we go, Equinox and SoulCycle. Not just their staff, but if you want to enter Equinox Gym, Equinox Sports Club, you'll have to be vaccinated. You'll have to prove vaccination. And Equinox Sports Club, there's hundreds of them all over the country. But here's the kicker. COVID affects the COVID affects the vaccinated as well. You could get COVID even if you're vaccinated. And it's especially evident right now in the state of Massachusetts. 75% of new cases as of this week in Massachusetts are people fully vaccinated. Here's the really big and dangerous part about that. According to the CDC, vaccinated people may spread the virus, though rarely. This is what we heard in the very beginning of this pandemic. This is what we heard at the very beginning, is you can be asymptomatic and spread the virus. That's what we were told, and then all of a sudden, people started not talking about it anymore, because guess what? That's really friggin' scary. And then the solution that people are coming up with is get vaccinated, because you won't spread it if you're vaccinated. But hey, guess what? Now the CDC says actually you could spread it if you're vaccinated. And now it's, if you get vaccinated, your symptoms will go down. But now, oh wait, you could still die if you're vaccinated. And the likelihood of you being an asymptomatic spreader may actually increase if you're vaccinated. So is it then actually better if you're not vaccinated? So you'll at least know when you get COVID, so you feel the symptoms and you're like, oh, better not go out, better not see grandma, better not go to a rock concert, better not go hang out with Lori Lightfoot. But this is what's next. I mentioned this in another video of mine, but I got a call from my insurance company a couple weeks back asking if I wanted my son to participate in a study for the thing in the arm to get vaccinated. My son is 19 months old. So fuck you. Shove it up your ass. Don't. What's around the corner also is, and I've shared this before too, but this is like mighty important and stuff everyone should very much be aware of. But oh, come on, don't freeze up on me. The American Academy for Pediatrics, which a lot of people entrust in all things medical for their children. The American Academy of Pediatrics says students should remain masked until vaccinated, implying that eventually they will be vaccinated. So let's look at that once again. The American Academy of Pediatrics wants all kids masked until vaccinated. Touch on that for a second. They want all kids vaccinated? The thing in the arm hasn't even been approved for adults beyond emergency use. Yet, you have Joe Biden up at his town hall on CNN saying, well, right around the corner, kids 12 years and younger will be able to potentially get vaccinated, and that's what we want. So you're saying, here's one, according to Johns Hopkins University, 0 kids have died without comorbidities. Comorbidities being cancer, being leukemia being things that are likely the leading cause of them dying. And of the comorbidities, only about 400 kids in this entire year and a half plus long pandemic has been going on. So the American Academy of Pediatrics wants all kids wearing masks until vaccinated. By the way, World Health Organization says otherwise. World Health Organization says kids under 5 shouldn't even be wearing masks at all. Let's go to their website and see who their biggest donor is. That's right. The American Academy of Pediatrics' biggest donor is Pfizer. So here's what's next. Here's what's next if we're not careful. What's next is our children, our 3-year-olds, our 4-year-olds, 5-year-olds, 6-year-olds, 7-year-olds, 8-year-olds, 9-year-olds, 10-year-olds, 11-year-olds, 12-year-olds are going to be told they can't go to kindergarten, they can't go to 1st grade, they can't go to 3rd grade, they can't go to 5th grade, they can't go to middle school, they can't go to high school until they've been vaccinated. We have to stop this now. This is unacceptable. I'm somewhat okay with politicians trying to protect their cities from getting overrun with some virus with like some minimal scientific input. And I'm somewhat okay with cities trying to prevent the spread by informing businesses on how to implement social distancing and saying, yeah, let's put these masks back on for a little bit. I'm not okay with police yanking people off of buses, pepper spraying people on trains. The famous one, this one's different than masks, but way back in March of 2020, the paddleboarder being hit by the Coast Guard boat because he wasn't supposed to be at the beach, but he wasn't on the beach, he was in the ocean. So two separate things. But I'm not okay with the medical tyranny that is going to be happening right around the corner. People are already being told you can't return to work until you get the thing in the arm. I understand medical professionals being told to do so because that actually makes sense. But there have still been doctors and nurses who have had adverse reactions to the thing in the arm that they were forced to get. But forcing truck drivers to get the thing in the arm doesn't make any fucking sense. Forcing public school students to get the thing in the arm in order for them to go to school doesn't make sense. College students, if you want to go to college, you got to get the thing in the arm. That's in most colleges across the nation now. Doesn't make any fucking sense. And this is where we are now. Liberal areas across the country are just overflowing with people just willing to throw their bodies on the line because they're so busy watching CNN and terrified for a virus with 98.98 survival rate, with 85% of the casualties having comorbidities, majority of which severe obesity. I'm not saying it's okay people who are vastly overweight are dying, but I am saying that if you're young, you're healthy, it might be better for you to get the virus and get treatment for it than it is for you to take the risk and get the thing in the arm. It's just something for you to consider. That's between you and your doctor. But medical tyranny for a pandemic that has the same, a difference of 0.1% in fatality of the flu is unacceptable. And I stand by that. Anyways, that's it for me. I will catch you guys on the next one.